Hey guys, it's Heather from Tomatoes, Poppies, and Everything Gardening. It's way past time that I give you an update on the artichokes. So I've been growing artichokes for over 3 years, 4 years, and I've learned a few lessons along the way, and I thought I would share those with you so you don't make all the same mistakes that I have made, and a couple of the things that I've done right, um, which is very few because I've learned the hard way with artichokes. So I also want to update you on the winter sowing of the artichokes that I did this year for the very first time. I've never winter sowed artichokes, and I want to show you how they turned out and compare that to my prior years of growing traditionally starting them in January. So let's go take a peek out front so I can show you some of my in-ground artichokes. So this section of my side yard garden used to look totally different. This section that you can see right now used to contain an asparagus bed kind of in the middle. And in the very kind of front area, I had 3 artichokes that lined the front section in front of the artichoke bed. And then in the very back, I used to have 1 artichoke on the left, kind of where that grass is right there now, and then 1 artichoke on the right, which is still alive. He is, I think, 3 years old at this point. So let's go take a look. So the 3 that were in the front of the artichoke bed, they died the first year from too much sun. So that is lesson number 1. Even though they're a full sun plant, too much full sun is really hard on them. They do require a lot of moisture and water, but they don't want their roots to be soaking and damp. They want moist soil but well draining soil. They're basically of that Mediterranean variety that kind of just likes things moist but well draining, and heat but not too hot and not too much direct sun. Maybe over, I'm going to guess 8 hours might be a little too much for them. So the 3 in the front died. They just burnt to a crisp. The 1 that was on the left, he lived that year and died that winter. And I think that was the other problem with artichokes is winter care. So that one died because I did not insulate it. This one, the only reason I think he has survived every winter and is now 3 years old is because he is surrounded and protected by these big grasses. I do not prune them until mid-late spring, so he gets protection from that. This winter I did pile up a bunch of leaves to help protect him, and he gets more shade. So in the summer, usually I have sunflowers in this front section where the 3 artichokes that died. There's so usually sunflowers there. So this guy got some sun protection, and he got some winter protection from the grasses that are surrounding him, and also the mulching of leaves. So yeah, he looks healthy and happy. They like to feed a lot. They're heavy feeders, so you do need to fertilize. And I think that's why I have that bag of fertilizer just sitting there, because I thought, well, if it seeps out because of rain, you know, whatever's inside gets wet, it'll just feed me. No, I'm just kidding. That's not why it's sitting there. I actually put it here about 2 weeks ago because it's time for me to clean up the area around him, feed him a mulch. I'm going to put some more mulch down after I get rid of the leaves, and yeah, it's time for his early spring feeding. So you know, you can Google how often to feed them. I usually just feed as often as I can remember. But let's get a close-up look at the leaves. So one reason I love artichokes is they make good deer barriers. The deer don't like to walk through here. When he gets a little bit bigger, he is going to have super sharp points all over him. Right now they're kind of tender, but you can really get spiked on these when they get a little bit bigger. So let's go look at the other area where I had asparagus artichokes. So last growing season, last summer, I did an experiment with 3 of my artichokes. I put them into these 3 barrels. They did great. They grew wonderfully. And I thought, let's see how they do over winter in a container. I am a zone 7, and they didn't make it. Here's part of one. So they froze to death, I guess. I did stick my hand down in each barrel and check, and there is no viable artichoke. So you can grow them in containers, but they're not going to overwinter. And then I had, look at all the poppies. And then I have to watch. I'll put my feet. That's a big one. And then I had one right here in this empty space. He also died during the winter because he doesn't have the same protection that the other artichoke that lived has. I did leave some leaves, but I didn't actively protect him, and so he died. If you live in zone maybe 8 or 9, you might have better luck. The lesson that I learned is, since I do live in zone 7, I need to protect my artichokes. So now let's go look at our winter sown artichokes. There they are. I will link the winter sowing artichoke video below. So this bucket is the very first one, and he went out, I think, in January. He did not do as well as the 2 buckets that were sown later with the same seeds. Check the date on that, and I can't see because the sun is so bright. Had to go into the shade. Yes, it was January 26th for this guy. And these guys, did I put the date? I don't know, but this worked for me really well. I did not put the date. I think it was like mid-February. I have to look at the video from when I sowed the artichokes here, the violet ones. I usually grow just the green glow, but this year I wanted to try the violet. I would say my germination rate was similar to when I start indoors. And what I like about this method, I didn't have to use up a very large section of my growing station with lights and resources. I could just put them in the jug and leave them out literally all winter. Yeah, so that's it. I'm going to feed these guys, and then I think what I'm going to do, I'm thinking, I may try 1 or 2 in the backyard this year, since they do require just a little bit of sun control, just so they're not burnt to a crisp. Maybe 1 out back here, and maybe try them in the container and see if I can just get a harvest, and then they can die. And then maybe 2 in the ground out front. Let's see, what do I got? At about 6. So I think that'll work. I'm really excited to see this variety because I've never grown the violet, and I will keep you guys updated. So just stay tuned for future episodes. I'm sure in my garden tours you will see how these guys do and where they ended up being planted. So that's all, guys. I will talk to you soon. Bye.